Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. When something strange or unusual happens in Jamaica today, there is a slang that the youngsters use to describe the situation, which goes like this: Jano, Jamaica is not a real place. That must have been the reaction of the entire Richmond Hill community near Cambridge in St. James on September 26, 2018, when wanted man Delano Prekeh Wilmott, who had taken over the leadership of the infamous Ratty Gang after its leader, Ratty Peterkin, was killed, did the unthinkable when he spearheaded an ambush on a JDF patrol unit, shooting and injuring 2 soldiers and forcing the others to flee, leaving their vehicle behind. Some residents of the Richmond Hill area were hoping that the security forces would have been able to nullify the gangsters who would often be seen in their community walking around with high-power weapons slung over their shoulders, were scared out of their wits by the brazen attack on the soldiers, and many fled the community. After Ratty Peterkin was killed in a confrontation with a police military unit in Westmoreland, Prekeh and his second-in-command, Richard Cruz Anderson, boldly declared that they were going to avenge his death and that they wanted 10 members of the security forces for him. However, despite their bold declaration, the residents of Richmond Hill and Cambridge were certain that they would be no match for the security forces, albeit they were armed with AK-47s and M16s. When the security forces began to target the area with round-the-clock patrols, it was generally felt that the gangsters would have retreated from the community, so they were taken aback by the brazen attack on the soldiers. Following the shooting, the army put out a statement that they would be hunting down the gangsters and bringing them to justice. However, despite the increased military presence in the area, the gangsters continue to roam the community, utilizing their superior knowledge of the geography of the area, especially as it relates to the thick bushes and cave network. During that period, they survived several confrontations with the police and the army. In one of those early morning operations, a heavy detachment of police and soldiers descended on one of the hideouts of the gangsters and engaged them in a running gun battle. When the smoke cleared, one gangster was found dead, clutching an M16 assault rifle. Initially, the deceased man was identified as Prekeh Wilmott. However, it was subsequently discovered that it was not Wilmott but Cruz Anderson, who was also implicated in the shooting of the 2 soldiers. Prekeh Wilmott, who became increasingly brazen after that incident, engaged the police in several other shootouts and surprisingly managed to survive another 2 years before he was finally caught, cornered, and shot and killed in a shootout. In this edition of Lest You Forget, I will be revisiting that incident in which Wilmott and his gang ambushed the JDF patrol and shot the 2 soldiers, as was reported in a Gleaner story which was published on September 27, 2018 under the headline "Soldier Shot in St. James Gun Battle, Army Vow to Hunt Down Gangsters." The story read as follows. The Jamaica Defence Force JDF has vowed to hunt down and flush out the gangsters who ambushed a police military patrol and shot and injured 2 soldiers in the Richmond Hill section of Cambridge in St. James yesterday. Shortly after 10:15 a.m., the police military team, which was in the area searching for a top-flight gangster, Delano Prekeh Wilmott, who is wanted for several murders, was attacked by the gang leader and his cronies. "We will continue to support the police during the ongoing enhanced security measures in St. James," said Major Basil Jarrett, the Civil Military Corporation officer at the JDF. "As for Wilmott and his gang, our team will not stop until we flush them out. He and his cronies will be brought to justice like any ordinary criminals." According to a well-placed police source, Wilmott was an integral part of the notorious Ratty Gang, which had Cambridge under siege prior to the imposition of the state of public emergency in St. James earlier this year. The gang fled the community after coming under significant pressure from the security forces. The leader of the gang, Ratty Prekeh, who was known to regularly engage the police in gunfights, was killed in a shootout with a police military team in Westmoreland. These men, the gangsters, are driving fear into all of us. We are literally at their mercy, a resident of Richmond Hill told the Gleaner yesterday. They rob and intimidate residents daily. I hope that now that they have shot these 2 soldiers, the authorities will get serious about hunting them down and bringing them to justice. In describing the incident yesterday, Jared said that the patrol was on duty in and around the Cambridge community when they were attacked by the gangsters who chose to engage them instead of running away. On reaching the area, the men came under heavy gunfire, said Jared. 2 soldiers were hit and taken to hospital just for a precaution. Their injuries are not life-threatening. Subsequent to the incident, additional soldiers and police were deployed to the area. JDF helicopters provided aerial support while a tactical team combed the bushes in the community for the men. Several men have been taken into custody for questioning. Despite the extensive search of the area, Prekeh Wilmott and his band of gangsters managed to elude the security forces. Because of Wilmott's forced recruitment of teenagers from the community, many families sent away their sons to stay with relatives outside of the community out of fear of them being forced to join the gang. In looking back at that incident in which 2 soldiers were shot, it added an extra layer to the lawlessness which was affecting St. James at the time, which made it one of those unforgettable stories. Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. In the next edition of Lest You Forget, we will be looking at the demise of Prekeh Wilmott.